Welcome everyone to another episode of The Inside Word. My name is Lachlan McLean from Beer Cartel, Australia's #1 craft beer retailer. For this episode, I chat to Matthias Ebner of Weihenstephaner Brewery from Germany. We talk about a whole load of topics, including their history being, one of the oldest breweries in the world, if not the oldest. We talk about the German craft beer scene, how it compares to ours and other ones in the world. We talk about a whole load of, different topics, but the one that really stands out as we're in the midst of dry July is alcohol-free beers. So we had a real kind of in-depth chat about them and how they're made, to how they're perceived in Germany. They are one of the largest categories of beers. So I wanted to get his opinion and his feedback on what makes them so great over there and how we can kind of, enhance them over in Australia. So sit back and enjoy, and I hope you enjoy this episode. Thank you so much for joining me today, Matthias.
Thank you so much for inviting me.
Great
to be here.
What's brought you over to the other side of the world, to Sydney today?
Well, for me, the first time in Australia.
Yeah, nice.
Ever. And Australia is an important export market for our brewery.
Yeah.
And great to be here and see different markets here in Australia and be part of it for about 2 weeks.
Yeah, nice. So kind of traveling through the major cities?
Arrived here in Sydney. We'll go to Brisbane, Perth, and Melbourne, and then back home.
Yeah, right. I guess it's always good seeing kind of German breweries out here. I know we don't get enough of them, so we're super excited when found out you could come over and have a chat. I guess before we kind of talk about some of the background and the history of the brewery, I kind of put this to our Facebook group, Craft Beer Collective, last night, and asked some questions, which we're going to ask later on. But the number one asked question was, how do we pronounce the brewery? So I'll get it from you. How do we pronounce it?
It's a classic. It's the right pronunciation is Weihenstephaner.
Yep.
Which means translated kind of Saint Stephen's. And so it's Weihenstephaner. But we get it. A lot of people are struggling with German language. And then especially that name, can be difficult sometimes. Yeah.
So Weihenstephaner.
Weihenstephaner. Yeah.
So there we go, everyone out there. That is the official pronunciation of the brewery. I know we hear multiple iterations of what it is.
Actually, it's a funny thing. There is a video somewhere on YouTube from our importer from the United States.
Yep.
Has done a few years ago a video in one of the biggest locations where Weihenstephaner is poured in the United States. And they put down their social media video team and interviewed people how they pronounce Weihenstephaner. And dude, this was like so hilarious. How people are like they're reading it and how they pronounce it. And they made up a small video on that. It's super funny. Yeah, my personal favorite in that video is VC Steven.
I've heard that.
Yeah. We're like, close, but
it's all in good fun. But there we go. That's how we say it. So I guess talking about the brewery, it's if you look it up, it's either claims to be is one of the oldest breweries in the world. So I thought we might kind of talk a little bit about some of the backstory of how it kind of came. I think the oldest brewery I've done on these podcasts is probably Sierra Nevada at about 50 years old, 1960s. For Weihenstephaner, we're talking 1,000 years or nearabouts too. So how did it all start for the brewery?
It was basically in the Middle Ages in Germany and Europe. Basically, any monastery was brewing beer for their own purpose. The brothers loved beer, they drank a lot of beer, and so they brewed it for themselves. When the Weihenstephaner monastery was founded in the 8th century on the Weihenstephaner hill, where the brewery still stands today, we assumed that they also were brewing beer at the 8th, 9th century.
Yeah, wow.
But mostly for their own use.
Yeah.
But in 1040, from the bishop of the city of Freising, or of the diocese of Freising at that time, so Weihenstephaner is part of the city of Freising, and also at that time the diocese of Freising was a very powerful diocese in Bavaria, and the bishop gave the brothers, the monks, the right to brew and sell their beer. And that was 1040, and that's where we, dating back our founding date as a brewery, because that's what basically a brewery is defined, not just brewing the beer, also selling it. Yeah.
You say the monasteries and I think they're the Benedictine monks. Is back then were the styles, you know, we think about monasteries nowadays in beer, we think of Belgium. Was there kind of a crossover in kind of what they were brewing over there? Or no, not really sure?
It's so hard to say. We actually can't say it for sure which beers they were brewed at that time. So beginning with 1516, but definitely that they were brewed beers according to the Bavarian imperial law.
Yep.
So just barley, hops, and water. The thing is, in all the years, centuries, those 800 years where the brewery existed as a monastery brewery, they were basically very rare and no documents left. Because at least the brewery burned down 4 times.
Yep.
It was, attacked and, ravaged by the Hungarians, by the Swedish, by the Austrians, whatever. Everything what happened in the Middle Ages in Europe also happened to that monastery. And the only constant thing was that the brothers rebuilt the brewery and started brewing again.
Yeah, right.
So basically that stubbornness from the monks were the constant. And but all the things that where they tried to destroy the brewery does not work. But in 1803, when the secularization in Bavaria took place, at the same time with the Napoleon Wars, the monastery was dissolved and the brewery were put into royal ownership. And since then, the monastery brewery was not existing anymore, and then the Weihenstephaner brewery were existing as Royal Bavarian Brewery under the command of the kings of Bavaria.
Yeah, right.
And then after World War I, when the monarchy was dissolved in Bavaria, and the state of Bavaria was founded, and the brewery became state brewery. And,
and that's
so from royal property, it basically went to state property. Yeah. And since that, we are a state-owned enterprise. 100% owned by the state of Bavaria under the command of the Ministry for Science. So actually, you can say that the boss, or the highest boss of the brewery, is the Secretary of Science of the state. He actually visits the brewery from time to time. So, but of course, there's a CEO, a director, who's running the brewery in his name or in the name of the ministry. And since the 1920s, we're state owned. And
is there any kind of from like the state owned? Do they not control it, but do they have much import, or is it just kind of left up to you guys to do what you've always done, or as brewers?
There is a board. And there's a board of 6 people who are overwatching the brewery, and this board, together with the leading management of the brewery, are deciding in which direction the brewery is developing itself or investing or whatever. They are doing basically the main decisions on that, and also putting in maybe new export countries. Yeah, right. And stuff like that, or like the decision a few years ago that we built a new logistics center because we were running out of space on the Weihenstephaner Hill. So the whole storage and whole logistics we put 3 kilometers away from the brewery in a brand new logistics center we built the last 3 years. And so this is where the basic decisions were made. Yep. And this is very interesting because you need to know, after the secularization in the 1850s and 1860s, there were also the other parts of the monastery that were closed and shut down by the secularization. They opened up a school for agricultural science and brewing in Weihenstephaner. Right. And since 1865, there's also the first, it was called Brauerkursus, which is brewer's course, 1 semester. Yep. 1865, and today that's a faculty of the Technical University of Munich for the Faculty for Brewing and Beverage Technology, which is kind of the biggest and I guess most famous university for brewing technology and brewing science worldwide.
Wow.
And also this faculty now exists for more than 150 years. And so basically the brewery is surrounded by the university, Technical University of Munich, School of Life Sciences, Weihenstephaner, and by the brewing faculty. I actually also graduated from the university, from the brewing course. And this is, of course, in in Germany, basically all universities are state-owned. And so we have this very close cooperation with the technical university, because the boss of the university, which is the Secretary of Science, is also our boss.
Yeah, right.
And so in this board, actually, that are kind of overwatching the brewery and what we're doing, there are 3 professors from the brewing faculty sitting in this board.
Yeah, right.
So actually, there are scientists who are working in the field of brewing, are part of the decision makers, in which direction a brewery goes. Where we're doing developments, where we're doing investments, which technology we use, and working together with the university is a huge advantage.
So you'd obviously then, your brewery laboratories and quality controls and all that would just be state of the art and top notch.
Actually, fun fact, we actually don't have a laboratory. Seriously, brewery our size would have a laboratory, of course, and a few guys working there, but we don't, because we are kind of outsourced it to the university. I mean, the labs of the research center for brewing and beer quality is like 20 meters away from the brewery, and we have guys, they're sampling from the malt that got delivered to the finished bottled beer. We take those samples and bring it to the university labs, and the scientists there are doing the analysis for us.
Do you, as a student there, as the university, that's part of your call out and practicals of kind of going
actually, I wrote my bachelor thesis in the brewery about the bottle transport system in the bottle cellar, how we can optimize the bottle transportation there.
Wow.
And actually, the director of the brewery, Mr. Schredler, is a professor at the university. He is teaching economics in the brewing industry. And so this is a very close cooperation. And we have this huge opportunity working together with the research center in quality management, in quality control. And this is some kind of, once in a world, once in a kind situation. You cannot kind of copy paste.
Not at
that
all.
advantage we have together with the university, they're doing our quality control, but the students can go in for practical classes into the brewery, industry size working brewery. Right. It's fantastic, and especially for the education, it's very, very good. And so we're doing a lot of research projects together where we finance the faculty in research, but also support them in teaching. But we benefit out from the quality control. We benefit from the newest knowledge that we are trying to implement in our process. So that's huge, and so we try to make the best beers possible.
Yeah, you're talking about kind of the innovation and funding these kind of technological advances. You think about Germany as kind of a really kind of traditional brewery, especially from the Australian point of view.
Yeah.
What are these like technical kind of advances that you, as a brewery, kind of looking to implement?
That can be very simple, from energy saving systems.
Yep.
For bringing back, steam out of the brew house when we're boiling our mash, and then we're recovering the steam and heat up water tanks that we're using for mashing in, and so save energy. This can be, adaptions in the mashing program. There can be also adaptions in fermenting. This can be also product data in the bottling center and optimizing bottling and keg filling. This can be whatever. So,
is most of it kind of towards the systems and processes of the brewing process, or do you kind of look kind of big picture as the sales to the ingredients of the growing of the hops? Like, how far does the innovation go?
This is something you need to calculate every year. The thing is, the big difference from making beer to, especially maybe for an example, making wine or making a spirit, is that the brewer has changing raw materials every year. At least the barley or the wheat and the hops are changing every year, and he needs to adapt the process every year, that the taste that you want to target is always the same.
Yep.
So we get a new wheat harvest or barley harvest, we get new hop harvest every year, we analyze them, and then the brewmasters must sit together and say, okay, how we are adapting our brewing process, our mashing concept, our hop addition, whatever, so that the taste stays the same. So there are over 300 parameters in the brewing process where we can influence the taste and how the beer at the end will taste. And we're doing about 1,800 batches of beer a year. more than thousands is just a Hefeweiß beer.
Wow.
And so we need to for our customers to make sure that every batch of this 1,000 Hefeweiß beer batches are tasting the same. And this over not 1 year, over 5, 10, 50, 1,000 years.
Mm.
You know, the thing is that, you know, you hear it maybe a lot, especially from very traditional breweries. Yeah, it was an ancient recipe. Actually, that's not true. You know, a brewery is adapting its recipe from time to time when it's necessary. Because maybe the raw materials are changing, or every year you get another hop harvest. Maybe the brewing philosophy is traditional, yes. But actually the recipe for itself is changing every time it has to be.
So that was one of the questions that on our Facebook group that the people wanted to get answered was, do you seek to change or improve the recipes, or are they fixed?
Every time when it's necessary.
So you're kind of aiming to produce the same end product, but how do you get there?
Highest quality and the taste we want to aim. That's our target. We have a taste that we want to aim. We have a quality goal that we want to aim. And that must be reached. And when we have maybe, you know, the barley from northern Bavaria is different to the barley from South Bavaria. The hops are changing every year from every harvest. Depends on the rain, on the sun days, on the soil, you know. Yep. Northern Hallertau hops are other in alphas than southern Hallertau hops. And so we must adapt the addition, the time and the terroir is very important for hops. And so we must adapt on it. And this is where we always try to improve. Taste, yes. So we have our beer tastes like we wanted them to. We try to improve it on long-term stability, you know, on the long-term stability of the taste and on the quality, of course. But this is our highest goal.
Yeah, right. So it's even if, you know, the ingredients are kind of coming in differently through the systems and processes, you're still able to achieve the same quality and end result. Yeah.
This is very important. So we're actually only using Bavarian grown raw materials. So barley and wheat is only grown in Bavaria and malted in Bavarian malt houses. The same as hops are coming exclusively from the Hallertau region, which is like 5 kilometers north of Freising, of Weihenstephaner, starting the Hallertau. We have their farmers that are growing for us.
Yep.
So we have the 5-6 farmers. They are producing about 80% of our hop in use.
Do you ever have any issues, kind of, we're talking on just, you know, on hops, of actually sourcing the same hops? I know in Australia that some of the American grown hops and that, you know, sometimes you just literally can't get them. Yeah. Do you have any issues with that and have to change up the hops at all?
Yeah, we had sometimes we you know, adjust a little bit on the hops, but we have long-term contracts with our farmers, so there's no need on that. So we're buying directly at the hop growers and having long-term contracts with them. It's for us a very safe situation. Getting our raw materials there.
You mentioned there that I think over 1,000 of the 1,300 batches is Hefeweizen. I wanted to have a chat about kind of the styles in Germany itself. And are kind of those kind of styles still the number one strong styles? Is there kind of, you know, obviously over in Australia and America and other parts of Europe, pale ales and IPAs, all that is kind of massively growing. Is that being noticed anywhere in Germany as well?
Yeah, it's noticed that craft beer movement or the new styles, like a pale ale, which is for the German beer culture. There are new kind of styles, this Anglo-American beer styles, like a stout, porter, ale, pale ale, IPA, whatever. So there's also a craft beer scene, but it's maybe at 1% of the sales in Germany. So people are very traditional when it comes to drinking beer. And so, yeah, it's very interesting how this all is developing. But we, as the world's oldest brewery, as owned by the state, you know, a lot of people, especially in the United States, sometimes they're like, "What? You're state-owned?" You know, when the state, the government is owning an enterprise, for a lot of Americans, this is kind
foreign.
It's pretty close to communism. But I think it has a real good reason why the world's oldest brewery is owned by the state, to protect that heritage and to protect that cultural thing, to have that in your region, and that the state says, well, this is that we own it and we run this enterprise. It's the best protection for that this brand is still true, and that brand works with that values it should have been as the world's oldest brewery and the flagship brewery of the state or that region in the world that's most known for beer and cars. You know?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. So that's a good reason, actually. Yeah.
Is there is there any kind of from other breweries around Germany kind of looking at them saying, should we kind of dabble in that, or is it all very kind of, don't worry about them, everyone's still going to drink?
Well, actually, in Germany, we are not that. We are mid-sized, so we do 450,000 hectoliters, which is 45 million liters of beer. This is for German mid-size of the mid-size section. Yeah. So other competitors, big wheat beer brands, are like up to 10 times bigger than us.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. So we are also not very big in Bavaria. We're very export-orientated and export-focused. So we're exporting 52 countries right now, over 65% of our volume. So so we are basically, Germany is our number one country, but very close followed by the United States.
Yeah, right.
So export is definitely our main focus business. And we're very proud that our beer is recognized as one of the top best products in so many countries in the world, and the brand has such a good standing. But this also comes very close together, that special situation that we have the opportunity to work with the university, and that we have the chance to work with, quality first as our main goal. Yeah. And being state-owned and not having like shareholders who want to squeeze out the last euro out of the brewery, that are like, just make volume. We want to make money out of that label of being world's oldest. The government is not interested in making a huge amount of money with us. The government of Bavaria is not interested in making a lot of volume. They say, you're for us a cultural lighthouse.
Yeah, right.
Of the beer culture of Bavaria. So your goal is, or what we want from you, is to make the best Bavarian styles possible, and that with the highest standards and quality. Yeah. And that's why we print this on our bottles on the top of the label. This is Premium Bavaricum. It's Latin and stands for the best out of Bavaria. And this is our mantra. This is what we want to do, is making, when it comes to Bavarian styles, being one of the best and top notch when it comes to the styles.
On those Bavarian styles, what's your favorite?
My personal favorite is Helles.
Yeah, excellent.
Yeah. Crisp, characterful lager.
Yeah.
Nice palate fullness, but still easy drinking. Nice hop spiciness. Yeah. And wheat beer, of course. Yeah. It depends also a little bit on the time of the year and where you are. So that's yeah. So wheat beer or Helles, that's my two favorites.
So obviously, the lager, the wheat beer is obviously your focus. But one area I wanted to have a chat about, I know we talked before, and you're super passionate about this area as well. And it's a very small part of the Australian market, but we foresee it becoming bigger and bigger and bigger, and that's alcohol-free.
Yeah.
So even at the moment, all the ones in Australia, I think generally people come in, and the ones they do know tend to be the German ones. And I was doing some research, and it was like 10% of all beer sold or something in Germany is alcohol-free.
Right now. Yeah, and growing.
So a couple of questions. Why alcohol-free and kind of that, and also how do they make it?
Yeah, there are a few technologies out there how to make non-alcoholic beers. But why is in Germany so big? Well, I guess people would rather drink a non-alcoholic. First, maybe like 25 years ago, it was like, I need to drive, and they, tightened the laws on driving under influence. So, lowered the limit, and so people were not like, I cannot drink because I need to drive, whatever. So this was kind of the driver's alternative, non-alcoholic beers. But they got more and more popular, and now we are at 10% of the sales, and it's the only section in German brewing industry which is growing. It's a very interesting field, and Germans would rather drink, a non-alcoholic beer than a soda, than a Coke, for an example. You know? So they would not drink a soft drink, alcohol-free beer. Yeah, it's fine. Yeah, it's a healthy, natural a produced beverage, no artificial sugars. It's a lot of vitamins, vitamin B, minerals. So actually, after a workout, it's a very, very good and healthy beverage to refuel and you better than every electrolyte, Gatorade, whatever drink. So it's very interesting, and I actually like non-alcoholic beers a lot. I'm a big fan of the non-alcoholic Hefe. And well, there are a few technologies, like I already mentioned, to produce them. You can separate them in biological methods and physical methods. So biological methods are stop fermentation, cold fermentation, or low alcohol fermentation yeast. Yeah. The other one are physical, like kind of osmosis alcohol filtration, or like we do it, and evaporation, like a distillation of the alcohol out of the liquid.
Okay.
And
so your beer for your non-alcoholic.
We take our finished wheat beer and then take the alcohol out through vacuum refred. In English it's hard. Rectification is the German word. It's even in German hard. It's kind of a vacuum two-way distillation.
Okay.
And we were actually the second brewery in the world that ever used such a technology. So there were parallel two breweries in Germany implementing such a technology. It was in 1994. It was together a project with the university. Yeah. At that time, the brewery hadn't non-alcoholic beers on the radar, but the university were developing with a company who were producing those plants. We need to test it in industrial size, and the university was like, we do have a brewery in the neighborhood. Yeah. You know, they are basically owned by our owners, by the state, so we can implement it there. And so we were actually one of the first who ever did that kind of technology for using non-alcoholic beers or producing non-alcoholic beers, and we do it till today. But we're on the limit on our production volume right now, and we're building just right now. My colleagues are sitting together and designing a new plant. Yeah, right. We want to double our volume on that because we need to.
That's where the growth
is. Yeah, that's where the growth is going. A big share of the growth is going. And we're also cooperating a lot with the university in developing that technology. So we actually started this further research project together with the university based on the new plant we're doing, adapting recipes and adapting the technology to make better non-alcoholic beers.
Yeah, right. So I know from the Australian point of view, when we were listening to some statistics last year, and for every kind of person who's turning 18, I think it's about 25% aren't drinking alcohol. Do you see kind of them as kind of the target market, or is it more, do you find in Germany people who drink beer but then go, like I said, I'm not driving or something?
Both.
Both?
Absolutely both. We do have right now people, a growing segment of people who are like trying to be healthier, less alcohol or no alcohol at all, try to have a healthy nutrition, and so we want also to have a product in our portfolio that fits their wishes and their needs. And a non-alcoholic beer like we do it is because the beer gets completely finished before we put the alcohol out through this process. So there are no rest sugars, or basically no rest sugars in it. So it's low on sugars, low on carbs, low on calories, but like I mentioned before, minerals, vitamins. So it's actually very a good beverage, much more healthy, I would say, than soft drinks or other non-alcoholics. And so I guess we do have with that a product where we can also fit those customership and their needs and their wishes. And as a brewery, even we're the world's oldest brewery, and we have like our core range of beers, but also there we are developing and adapting because, we're still making a consumer good, and we must, go with them and go with our fans and customers. And maybe we can reach out to another group of people who like our brand. And maybe they like it for the non-alcoholic beer, but we're also proud of that product too. So for us, it's not we need to do it. We are like, we want to do it. And when it comes to non-alcoholic beers, we want to be in the front line out there together with the university, developing the technology, which we done 25 years ago. And we want to do it today.
I think in the beer space, especially in Australia and obviously overseas as well, that is probably the biggest or one of the biggest kind of markets. I think it's a new market as well. You're not trying to target the same people. It opens up a whole from a business sense as well, but also from the health, and it's definitely I think we're going to see a lot more breweries and just of low alcoholic or non-alcoholic beers coming out, which is exciting to see. And we love yours. We love the Weihenstephaner beers.
We do have Phoenix Beers, our importer here in Australia, for more than 10 years. Is bringing the non-alcoholic lager and the non-alcoholic Hefe.
Yep. We stock both of them. I know the guys here will often drink them at lunch and stuff.
Actually, the non-alcoholic Hefe is my personal favorite because it's very easy drinking. It's a thirst quencher, and I guess it fits well to the Australian climate. So especially when it's very hot and you need something, and then the cold non-alcoholic. Slight wheat beer fruitiness, banana, cloves, a little bit of honey, but then also very crisp, high carbonation like a wheat beer should be. Creaminess through the yeast that is still in there, so it works.
It absolutely does.
It's a fantastic beer. Yeah.
Another question we had on the group was, it's an interesting one. Obviously, over in Australia, America, and stuff like that, the consumers are so focused on or sourcing new. They want new. So you see breweries putting out new beers monthly, some even weekly, and they're putting out 50 plus different beers a year. Yeah. Is there anything like that over in Germany, or do you guys have a small batch program, or you've got people like what they know and they just want quality?
The bringing out new things is in Germany not so big. Like I said, beer drinkers are very classic and traditional. Yeah. They're bringing out their new styles, new products, or styles like a Helles, which is also basically was only a South Bavarian thing. It's now getting also more in North Germany. So where they always were drinking Pilsners.
Even that for us is, I think, so foreign of having different drinkers of a Helles was only South. That's for Australia.
And now you can get a Helles also in Hamburg or Berlin.
Yeah.
So this is like kind of what for
us,
Germans.
For us, it's crazy. I don't think there's any real difference. Maybe some brands, but not styles.
So North Germany was always Pils country, and South Germany was Helles and wheat beer. So this is mixing up a little bit. We do have a small batch program, kind of. We work together with the research brewery of the university. They have a 8 hectoliter research brewery where we're doing from time to time special releases. Yep. Where we're doing also some developments. Like, I guess I wasn't working there at the brewery at that time, but it was 6 or 7 years ago. We made a special release for Australia. Yeah. It was Kreuz des Südens. It was an awesome wheat beer, strong wheat beer bock with Galaxy hops. Yeah, nice. And where we have a double fermentation with our wheat beer yeast, but then also second fermentation with French Bordeaux yeast. And then blended the two tanks together. It was a very interesting product, but it was a one-off. Yeah. We've done a pale ale once as a one-off. We've done a stout once as a one-off. And so then we had brought on the Keller beer, 15-16 Keller beer. Yep. We brought also out a few years ago to the anniversary of 500 years of purity law. So from time to time we're
the consumers aren't demanding it.
Yeah, or we also had a fresh hops beer once made together with a research brewery and brought it to California. It was a huge success in California, but these are one-offs, Yeah, okay. We pick selected markets and say, hey, what we can do for you, and and then we had this big collaboration, Braupakt, together with Sierra Nevada 2 years ago, which was a worldwide release, and from time to time, not very often, we're doing some local call-ups. When I'm now here touring Australia, going up to Brisbane on Thursday with Newstead. We're doing a call-up brew on Friday.
Nice. Awesome.
Kind of Australian Pilsner. So we're bringing our meshing philosophy to Newstead and some Aussie hops.
Yeah, nice.
And will be then poured in Newstead tap room. Then I'm in Melbourne. We're doing together with Dainton also a call-up for the Gaps.
Yeah, nice. Awesome.
And then also another call-up will be then also Dainton locally, the Melbourne area. So this is sometimes we do that, but it's it's not for us to gain volume or make money. For us, this is like fun.
Yeah,
we want to have fun out there. We want to try some new stuff without touching too much our core segment and what we're standing for. But I guess as a traditional brewer, you need to try out something new. You need to get in contact and in touch with your markets, what the people like, and maybe from time to time doing something special for a special market. And that's why we are here.
I can't wait to try those collabs.
So that's why we're traveling all around the world. Other breweries just sending their cases or kegs around the world, and here we're doing both. We're sending our beer around the world, but also our brewers or our team. So we want to be in the market. We want to be real. So we just not want to be real in case of we are brewing beer where the monks brewed beer, but we're still on the Weihenstephaner hill where the monastery was founded in the 8th century, and so we're still on that very spot, where we nearly 1,000 years ago started brewing. There we are still today.
I don't think
that's so important for us being real, not just being a brand. We are there where we are from, and we want to be up there. We're just not here. Have the trucks, have the containers with our beer and have fun with it. We want to be out there with our customers, with our fans, and get in contact with them. And we want to get to know them, like, why do you love our beers? Why do you like it? Because, it costs its money when it goes from Germany up down to Australia. And we really, really appreciate it that the people like the product and that they are our fans. And that's why we're coming down here and saying, hey, thanks first. Awesome. We really appreciate it. But we want to get to know the people. We want to see the trends. We want to see the appreciation. And we want to develop from that point. And that's why we're here.
Yeah, look, I know from our point, like, obviously the Australian craft beer market's going great. All that's, American beers, they sell here. But German beers still have a place. We still sell a lot of it, and you speak to these people that like when I put the post up yesterday, I couldn't believe the response of people wanting to know these questions, and they're people that they still have a soft spot in their heart for especially well-made German beers, and I hope they keep growing. But another question I had from the group. This is definitely probably the most beer nerdy brewers. I think he is a brewer, John. And it was a lot of the Weihenstephaner, like, you taste the hef, and there's that kind of the yeasty quality that kind of goes throughout them. And he wanted to know in the development of your yeast strains and the propagation and the analysis, and how does that all work? And then also, do you have like a mother culture that's kind of been passed down, and has that kind of changed?
Yeah, we do have for our lager and our wheat beer mother culture that is managed by the yeast center of the university.
Yep.
So
has that been passed down for years, or how long is that kind of?
How many years we're using, I don't know.
Yeah, okay.
But for a long time, especially the lager yeast. But those special genetics of those two yeasts are only used by us. Those yeast were designed and modified or brought into the direction for best perfect use in our brewery, and this is Freeze there, the strain, and only used by our brewery. And the yeast management, like bringing it up, and then we're having a propagation, a continuous yeast propagation for wheat and for the lager yeast, which we implemented also about 15 years ago. Was a process designed by Professor Buck, one of the professors from the university. And so we do have, of course, analyzers, but the university is doing them for us. And so we are cooperating very tightly with the research center and the yeast center when it comes to our yeast management and yeast use.
I hope that answers it for you, John. And then I guess last but not least, before we wrap up, what's kind of positive and some challenges, I guess, for Weihenstephaner kind of in Germany and kind of in the export market. I guess the first question is, what are the kind of the challenges that you're facing, and then what's the most exciting part as well?
Challenges. Well, there are a few challenges. First, logistics. Bringing the beer into the markets and having a good quality. Quick logistics. Having a strong partner in the market that is treating our beers like it should be. With a strong sales force, this is very good. We have great history here with Australia or Italy or United States. So, and this is one of the challenges, to find that partner, but also to keep with that partner up. And like we're dedicated to long-term relationships.
Yeah.
Not even also in the hops, also with partnering and with the importers. And Phoenix is a fantastic partner. And so this logistics, also getting our kegs back. Yeah, because we have stainless steel kegs. We're using worldwide, no one way, not plastic, because the quality is suffering with that kind of packaging products. So we are still stick to stainless steel kegs, because it's bringing the best logistic security and product quality and product safety. But they are expensive and they're costly to transport, and we need to bring them back. So those warehousing and logistics were one of the challenges that you have as an exporting brewery, any exporting brewery. So this is the challenges of the having high export rate like we do have. And the exciting thing is the positive feedback, the love the people have all around the world for our beer. It's so amazing, like traveling from Los Angeles to Sydney. And seeing people loving our beers, seeing people drinking our beers, having fun with it, and having a good time together with our beers. And one of my friends, he's also a brewing engineer, and he works worked for a brewery. He's now working for a mechanical engineering company, actually building plants for dealcoholization of beer. Yeah. He once said, we're not brewing beer, we're helping people having a good time.
Yeah.
And that aspect is wonderful, I think. And this is the fascinating thing about our business, is that we're bringing a great product to the people out there, that we are supplying people when they hanging out with their friends, with their family, with their loved ones, having good food, having a good time, and then our beer is accompanying them. Then that's an honor, and that's the fun. And it doesn't matter, is it Los Angeles, is it Sydney, is it Weihenstephaner, is it Moscow or I don't know, Tel Aviv.
Yeah.
By the way, Israel, huge market for us. Yeah, seriously, Israel is fantastic. They love wheat beer. They love our wheat beer. Yeah, I've been to Tel Aviv last year. It was amazing. Seriously. And when you see that, and when people coming back to you, like, oh my God, I love the beer, whatever, and getting all that feedback, I try to soak it up and bring it back to the brewery, to my colleagues, to our brewers, to the brewmasters, and like, hey, guys, keep on the great work. This motivates us, and I guess that's the most exciting part of it.
That's fantastic. Last but not least, it's 2020 now. I know it's 20 years off, which in the 1,000 years grand scheme of it is not that far. Has there been any talk about plans and parties and what you're going to do?
Yeah, you started with the number one classic question of how do you pronounce it, right?
Yeah, and you close it with
the second question we get a lot. Actually, we get every week emails on, hey, what are you doing on your 1,000 year anniversary? Can I buy tickets? When does the festival take place? Or what are you doing? Or whatever. And seriously, no one has a fucking clue right now. Seriously, for the wording. But nobody made up its mind now. It's 20 years. Okay, of course, in our history, it's like basically around the corner. But no plans yet, no dates yet, no tickets for sale yet. So we actually don't know. But I guess our CEO now, Director Schredler, is going retirement in the next 8 to 10 years, something like that. And I guess he will left the plannings for that anniversary to the guy who's following him on the job. I'm pretty sure that's the plan.
Well, it's been an absolute pleasure talking to you.
Thanks for the invitation. It was fantastic being here.
It's been fantastic, and I hope you have a great trip. Thank you so much.
Thank you a lot.
Thank you so much, Matthias, for taking your time out to sit down and have a chat to me about Weihenstephaner beers. I found it extremely fascinating to talk about not only German beers, but alcohol-free beers. I think, there's definitely a market out there for Australia, and if anyone out there is doing Dry July, I highly recommend you try the Weihenstephaner alcohol-free beers. They're some of my favourites. But once again, if you've got any questions about this episode, join us on our Facebook group, Beer Cartel's Craft Beer Collective. If you'd like to continue to stay up to date with the latest from the craft beer industry, please subscribe at either iTunes Podcast, Stitcher, or wherever you listen to your podcast. That's it for today. I'll see you next time.